Alright. What's up, everybody? The new Stormgate faction, the Celestials, has dropped, and they are shockingly different. A few people were complaining that the previous two factions were a little bit, standard, a bit straight up, kind of mixes and matches of different things we've seen before. But the Celestials have really surprised me and a lot of other people because this angel, techno, weird race is just different. They're really different. First of all, your main thing is an arc ship. It flies around the map, so you can land it and it shoots as well. It has an attack. It has a power field around it where you can place buildings, so you can just like warp in buildings wherever you want. You don't have builders, so look, you just fly it around and you're like, oh, I want to build a building. You just select, say, Bastion. This is like your barracks. Can't build it. Arc ship gets close. Bam, we can build it. And that'll keep building even if we fly away. Buildings also use a power resource, so you don't get supply capped like a normal faction. And of course, to get more supply, you do still build a power bank. So you get building blocked, I guess. Power blocked is what you'd want to call it, rather than the classic, not having enough farms, not having enough supplies, or houses, population blocked in Age of Empires, whatever you want to call it. The other thing is the collection array. So not only does your arc ship go around and it can build morph cores, these guys, these morph cores can turn into either collection arrays, which we already start with one here at the left, or fabricators. So fabricator is a nice little collection drop-off point for Therium. And you can see that can build that. That costs us 4 power. While it's building, we can lift off our collection array. So if these ever get attacked, you can just lift it up, fly it away, assuming your opponent doesn't have too much stuff that shoots up. And it is actually just as tanky, 1200 hit points, as your arc ship. So that's actually really cool. And it mines at about, I believe it's half the rate of a normal fully mining base. But if you put 3 of these guys, these prisms on it, each one boosts its rate of mining. So you can build prisms here out of this fabricator and rally them over onto your collection array. Or you can get just one of these mining Therium, actually mines at a really quick rate. So let's build some more morph cores and just kind of show you, already you can get a sense for just how different these basics are. I guess we'll rally the next prism onto Therium there, just make sure we can get some of that. So if we want morph core, let's go take another collection array. Problem is, we don't have enough Luminite right now, right? Because we spent so much on these 2 power banks and this Bastion. So we'll have to wait for a second to get that. While we do, let's talk about the power banks. Notice they have Energize, transfers energy to friendly target unit or structure. A lot of your units, pretty much all of them, have some sort of energy ability. So sometimes you'll even see people start spamming power banks or even most of their infrastructure on the front line somewhere. And that way they can actually heal up their units as they go. And it really allows them to just kind of get the most out of their army. So here we go. So here's the collection array when it first starts morphing, -8 power, but you can see it builds very quickly. So it's actually kind of crazy how fast the investment starts to pay off. So even though it is very expensive to get going, you see a lot of mass expanding in the limited play that I've seen with Celestials because you can do that so freely. And as you can see, as you start mining Therium there, we can obviously just select our arc ship. We can upgrade that to the arc station, instantly upgrading. Wait a second. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that progress bar was bugged. You can see the actual progress bar above it. I was like, there's no way it's that fast. That would be crazy. All right, let's build a few more prisms. You can get a maximum of 3 prisms on this to get it up to plus 20 Luminite per trip. Once you get to that, that's when it's the equivalent of a fully mining base of one of the other factions. So this kind of already starts to explain a bit of the basics. Now, I haven't played too much with the armies to really know the ins and outs of the different units and all these different things. So I don't want to go into too much depth other than you've got mainframes, you've got havens, you've got link nodes, force projectors, guardian nexus. What does all that do? Well, rather than me kind of just clicking on buttons and figuring out what things do, how about we hop in, watch some pro games. That, by the way, I just depowered that, so I just turned that off. Last thing, before we open the pro games, and then you can turn it back on. Bam, starts working again. So if you ever need power, you can depower buildings and power other ones up. Bunch of other top bar abilities are Sovereign's Watch. This is the, Zenith Scan, so that's a scan. You can use once every 90 seconds. There's also Sovereign's Watch. Imbues a target-friendly grounded structure with the ability to attack enemy nearby units for 30 seconds. Basically, it's kind of like Photon Overcharge, the old Photon Cannon ability for any StarCraft 2 fans. So that basically becomes like a defensive structure for the next 30 seconds. We've also got these 2 on the right. We've got Evolution Catalyst, which basically, if you use it on a creep camp, I don't know if you can use this out of vision. So let's just fly our arc ship over. Basically, it picks the guys up and then bops them. So it's like, hey, you guys want to become angels? Boom. and sucks their souls out. There's also Purify, summons a beam of light at the target location for 10 seconds, which restores 5 energy per second to friendly units, and drains 10 energy per second from enemy units, and continuously dispels all buffs from the area. So that's actually a nice combat buff ability as well. So that's the top Val powers. That's the basics of kind of how the original buildings work. Let's get into that pro match I was talking about, as I had a chance to commentate some with Probe and some other players as they played some matches just the other day. So let's go take a look at those matches right now. We're going to be starting out here with Theory versus Albino in a Infernals versus Celestials match, and I've got Probe on to commentate with me. So Probe is a very high-level player as well, who's also going to be hopping in and playing some matches, and hopefully he can give you guys some insights on the Celestials and what the heck is going on with this brand new faction. So without further ado, let's get into it.
The Arc ship actually acts as a drop-off point. So building a Fabricator, you do get a Prism out of it for free, but it still costs 150 for the Prism, and then 200 for the Fabricator. So it can delay a lot of builds. So sometimes you do want to use the Arc ship early to mine Therium.
Cool. And we've already got our power bank in Bastion up at the natural as well. So like you said, expanding really quickly seems to be a common thing here. You know, we've got a Bastion up in the main base as well. So do the Bastions actually fight as well? What's the reason to spread your buildings out at all?
So I mean, you might think that this race looks an awful lot like Protoss, and there is some sort of warp mechanics that they have. So if we look at the Bastion in the natural, it has this light coming out of the top of it, which designates that as the prime building, the prime Bastion. All Bastions that produce units, the units will end up coming out of here.
Yeah.
So if you spread them around and you get attacked in your main base, you can quickly change the prime building to the one in the main base, and all your units will spawn out of there.
Okay, so it just gives you lots of options. All right. Now,
so what we're seeing...
Yeah, talk me through it.
I was just going to say is that the Arc ship has now become an Arc Station, which is the Tier 2 building. So Theory has rushed that out to deal with the one base play that his opponent's going for with Hedgehogs.
All right, so he's going for a Fabricator there on the front. The units are coming into attack. Talk us through this. What's the goal of this attack? Are we looking to pick off prisms or what?
Really, it's just to... Well, ideally you kill your opponent. The Hedgehog, as you can see, it's actually a level 3 Hedgehog, and it's really, really powerful. This is the #1 strategy to do at the moment, because Vanguard has been given a top bar ability that allows you to promote your units. So people are rushing out mech units and promoting them to level 3, and it's really, really hard to deal with.
Ah, okay, I see. Alright, so the Vector's a pretty nice move and shoot unit by the looks of it. You can see they're pulling back to get their energy regenerated, and they're using that teleport to get back out of trouble. But one of them does get focused down, but oh, they're going to get both Hedgehogs. That seems like a massive win for Theory.
I agree. Huge win. Vectors have been the go-to thing because they're the only thing that deals with Hedgehogs. Honestly, if Theory didn't open Vectors, he would just die to this, which is a bit unfortunate. Now he's in a great spot because he's got a lot of Prisms. He's able to transfer a couple of them to his main base because he doesn't need that much Therium mining. And getting a huge Vector count, this means he's going to start being able to harass with their Blink ability.
And they use their... What's their energy for? Is it just for the Blink, or is it also for their movement?
No, it's for the Blink. So the way the Blink works is you get to blink to a location, and then for 15 seconds, you can decide whether or not you want to blink back to your original spot. So you can blink into somebody's main base, harass a bit, then when the units come, blink out completely. The downside to using the blink is that you take 50% more damage.
And is that during the whole 15 seconds?
Yeah, while you've blinked. If you recall, you don't take the damage anymore, yeah.
High risk, high reward. Dive in there, get the damage done, get out, hopefully before you take anything in return. So it's going to be a Vulcan, 2-base Vulcan Hedgehog follow-up here for Albino. And yeah, I mean, what's the next steps here? Like, do we do a 2-base push as Albino? And what are you worried about from Celestials? Like, do they have a really overpowered unit or anything they get to at tier 2? I don't think there's any tier 3 units for any faction just yet, right?
Yeah, correct. So you're probably looking at trying to just survive against these Vectors. And let me just tell you, a Vulcan, especially a level 3 Vulcan, Champion Vulcan, obliterates Vectors. They're light units. They're made of paper, really.
Yeah.
So Vulcan will just destroy them. That's why he's going for Vulcans. You can then think about going into like Medtechs. because medtechs have the nanoswarm ability, and essentially all of the Celestial units are mechanical. So medtechs essentially hard counter the entire race in a lot of ways. But what we're now seeing from Theory is that he's going to be looking to go into Kree, which is the unit that comes out of the mainframe. Looks a bit like a Zealot, acts a bit differently. He's also getting the Force Projector and this forward position. The Force Projector is your upgrade building. Think of it like a Twilight Council. But it actually attacks as well, that's why it has energy. And its attacks do AoE, and what it hits gets slowed. They might attack slower as well, so maybe it's just movement speed.
Seems like a proper obnoxious thing. Building your tech structure outside your opponent's base. I mean, this is looking like a dirty contain attempt, right? I feel like definitely this is a super unique race, right? There's so many weird things that you do. I feel like this is going to wrinkle people's brain when they play against it. Was there a lot of moments where you kind of just went, this seems BS in your first week playing as or against Celestials?
Luckily, I was only playing Celestial, and playing against Celestial, I was only playing against Parting. So if I'd lose a game, I'd just copy what he did. But it did make it quite, not degenerate, but quite strange, I will say. Now, we did see this Blink ability. He actually can't recall because obviously he would land right back on where the Vulcans are and just get destroyed.
Unless you want to cut off the reinforce.
And
So-
I would say Theory's in a good spot here. Just, like, dealing with these Vulcans is really difficult. They're really powerful, but getting a nice surrounding cut-off reinforcements, like you said.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if they get cut off, though, losing these Vulcans is such a big investment. It's probably game over if he loses these two, right?
And I don't know about this. The Vulcans are so powerful.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to teleport in, right? Maybe it would have been better to be a bit more patient and just come in for the surround, because the double damage really paid off there.
Now, we just see the ability of the Kree. Now, they do have this rollout, but when they die, they turn invincible and explode, much like a Baneling.
They have a little, like, kind of last stands plus martyrdom from
they
Call of
detonated
Duty,
a
right?
blaze of light. Yeah. But the upgrade they have, the rollout, is one of the coolest upgrades. And honestly, the Kree is probably my second favorite Celestial unit. And it's something that Vanguard players were definitely complaining about if they weren't playing Vulcan and Hedgehog, is that you just get Kree run-bys. They just run into your natural, run into your bases, and they're really powerful against workers.
Mum and Dad said I could be anything I wanted to be in this world, so I chose to be a Baneling. And turns out the Kree did indeed succeed in that. You can see that one there does detonate after its few seconds of last stand mechanic. The Vectors and the Kree getting on top of these Hedgehogs. There is still a tier 3 one there, but they keep dying. And it feels like Albino's unit retention, whilst not terrible, hasn't quite been high enough in this game. He's kind of pushed back in his corner. Economically, also, is he just too far behind him? And he's got a third up in the top now that's kind of a hidden base. It doesn't feel like Theory's really focusing on building his economy. He's just trying to be quite aggressive. So is Albino actually catching up?
Albino, I would say, is ahead. The way it works is if you have 3 prisms and a collection array, that's plus 20 per tick economy, I think that is equivalent to a base, essentially. I think it's 600 per minute, whereas a full saturated Vanguard base is like 640.
Oh, and he still hasn't got a third one up yet, has he? He's still not even with his forward base.
He does have a third collection array to the north of his natural, but there's no prisms on it. So that's like a half base, a half saturated base. And in his main base, he only has 2 prisms as well. So his economy is actually not that good.
Is that normal for the collection array to not show up as blue on the minimap when it's landed like that?
Yeah, I think that might be not... Actually, he also has a 4th one to the right. So
so he does. Okay, so
more.
he's going up to 4 bases, and you'll get some prisms out there soon. But these Hedgehogs
until they
coming
have
forward...
prisms, they're half bases, so...
Oh, dude, all the Vectors in the north just got taken down by the Hedgehogs. Oh, that was huge. Oh, that's super huge. He's trying to set up a bit of a crease around down here as Theory, but Albino's in a really good position right now. Okay, there is a dog there as well. Gonna look to come forward. We do have a Haven up on the backside, caster production structure. We haven't... Is that where the Animatrix comes from?
Yeah, the Animancer, probably the coolest unit. My favorite unit for sure. We actually see where these Hedgehogs are attacking. The collection array is able to pick up and move away. The Hedgehogs, the one reason why they're really good against Celestials is they can just siege up and kill the collection array if it tries to run away.
They can actually use that anti-air. The Hedgehogs, really nice mobility here. We're really getting to see them do what they're meant to be doing. Picking off units, moving and shooting, setting off these Kree, making sure they detonate. The Hedgehogs are getting so much value. It feels like Theory needs something else here. Is it just he doesn't have enough numbers? He needs to flank these Hedgehogs? What's he got to do?
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Kree run-bys. Like, the natural is just completely exposed. So instead of chasing these Hedgehogs, you can defend them defensively with your buildings. If you just start setting in run-bys, get a bit of damage, and then transition into Animancer.
First Animancer's out on the map. She's rallying out to the middle now. And it does seem like just Kree Animancer is going to be the thing. So what are the Animancer's abilities again?
So the first one is sort of like a drain ability that heals your teammates. The second one is a global sort of shroud, like an AoE shroud.
Ah, yeah.
And the third one, which is the coolest, is the black hole, the singularity. I forget exactly what it's called. That one does so much damage. It's like Scythe Storm on steroids.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I remember I got to visit their offices ages back and play like when it didn't even have a proper graphic, the Animancer, and I was like, and the black hole thing wasn't working, but I was like, I want to see what this does. I want to see what this does when it actually works. Oh, we've also got some Argents out as well. Your ranged guy, but so many Hedgehogs. That is what we call a critical mass.
Oh!
Animancer, black hole's big. Oh, the singularity gets a lot of damage, but there's just not enough to follow up on it.
The thing with the black hole, the singularity, is that it charges up damage over time. So the first 2 seconds it does less damage, and then the next 4 seconds does a lot more. So it sort of gives your opponent a chance to move out of it. But it also applies as slow, which means moving out of it is quite difficult.
I love the comments in chat. One of the races doesn't have a supply cap. Hey, I'm a simple man. I'm playing that one. Let's remember, you're going to be building cap the whole game instead. At least I know I will be. Take a little bit of reprogramming in my brain to get used to this one. But man, this is kind of cool. So it's just Hedgehog Vulcan. No medtech transition just yet. So with Nano Swarm, by the way, because obviously it does like an AoE heal to mechanical units. It also does AoE damage to enemy mechanical units, or robotic units, whatever the tag is in this game. I always forget the tags game to game. Does that do half the damage of what it heals normally with Nano Swarm? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does half. Definitely less.
Yeah, because the heal's insane. I mean, it'd be crazy if it did full. It would be. I imagine if Druids of the Claw could cast Rejuvenate as a 400 damage aggressive spell in Warcraft 3, that would be insane.
You just saw the Hedgehogs are slowed, and that was by the Force Projector, the building that he built.
Ah, that was the Force Projector, the upgrade structure. Oh, Hedgehog run by on the left, dude.
Yeah, Albino's been doing a really good job just moving around the map and being really aggressive. Oh no, my god, he's black holing his own units. That's terrible.
Oh, he chased into the black hole? Oh no.
Yeah. And the way it actually works with the Animancer is it's a channeled ability. So it'll keep doing it for 8 seconds, I think.
Oh, it's that long. Oh, that's why the first one we saw, the Hedgehogs ran in and focused it down, didn't they?
Yeah, correct. So what you need to do as a Celestial player is actually individually click on the Animancer and move them away, and they'll stop casting. If you're just moving your whole army, obviously it doesn't.
Thanks for the Bezos box.
Doesn't cancel.
Awesome. Dude, I'm loving it. This is the best format. Pig not playing much of a version of the game and then just asking Probe noob questions. I hope you guys enjoy this zero preparation style of stream. I was planning to do a bit more prep, but thankfully Probe is the wisdom lord, and he's giving us that info. Oh, Animancer miss rally, that hurts. I mean, we've got Atlases coming out. They should be able to outrange the black hole, right?
Yes, definitely. And the one really tricky thing to deal with is obviously you can get champion Atlases quite easily with the promote ability, and then you put them in a champion evac, and honestly Celestial doesn't have a lot to deal with it, is how I'll word it.
Need some more like ranged anti-air or something, right?
Yeah, a little bit. The Argents don't really cut it. Now we do see an amazing counterattack. Black hole into the mineral line cleans up 6 workers straight away, and this is what I wanted to see earlier, pushing into this natural. The Theory's got an amazing spot here now.
Oh, this is huge. Albino's not even defending that left base fully right now. He's kind of panicking. He does go for a counterattack in the bottom left, but he's already lost 2 bases of mining effectively. Albino needs to go get some damage done. Theory is way up in supply right now. Hedgehogs are circling down the bottom side. those Kree very annoying to deal with as they have that suicide effect there. And we've got evacs and medtechs coming out. Albino needs a little bit of time to get his defenses together. If he pushes back into this, I feel like black holes could kind of zone him out of his base. Like, he's sieged his atlases, but he's not protecting his main. His buildings are going down.
And that's definitely the power of the black hole. It's the zoning and then using it on the bobs. Oh, it's just so brutal.
Oh, he just got the whole bob line in the right side of the main base. That is so bad, man.
And as well as we talked about with the rallying out of the main buildings. So he switched the rally on the mainframe to be the one in the main base. So all of his Kree are going to pop out of that. But if you wanted to, you could obviously produce his bastions out of there too. So defensively, Celestials can be quite powerful.
Yeah, that ability to reposition, it takes a real mentality shift. It's kind of the same thing as playing Protoss in StarCraft 2, in that, like, whenever a race operates very differently, kind of the same with Zerg. I remember in StarCraft 1 first getting used to Zerg and the way they could, like, produce out in these kind of waves.
Huge fight in the north.
Oh man, huge battle. Let's take a look at that. Atlas is getting some big shots off. There's just not enough support, man. The Atlases are going to get taken down. They land some big shots, but Black Hole takes him down. Chasing into his own Black Hole is a little painful there. But at the end of the day, you've got overwhelming numbers. These hedgehogs running around the map being annoying. But, I mean, look at the supply, right? That's going to be GG.
GG is called, and I'm just going to watch the black hole kill more and more bobs. It's actually so satisfying.
It is basically storming a worker line there. It is brutal, mate. Brutal. Okie dokie. Going into our next game here, guys. And we've got Probe in the top right playing Celestials. Going to be moving his Morph Core immediately down to expand at the natural, as his Arc Station also does as well, or Arc Ship, I should say. Bottom left side of the map, we do have Theory, who is already mining the trees open. What's Theory doing here, Albino?
So, basically, as Infernal, you want to turtle very, very hard. Because Dragon is extremely strong in this matchup, so he's already making walls for himself.
Oh, so he's just going to go wall off the third base.
Yeah.
And then will he wall off the top of his ramp as well as the... Oh, hold on a second. So the Hexen... Does the Hexen have a lifesteal?
No. It gets beat up by the creeps pretty hard.
But it does have an infest, so he's able to at least get the first camp, but you can't really keep going from there until it regens some energy or something like that?
Yeah, he's basically just trying to... So, what he's trying to do is kind of mess up the Celestials' early kind of gameplay, not let him get 3 bases for free. So, we actually tested this. He's gonna make a meat farm in his main base because it actually kills the base faster than a Shroud Stone.
Oh,
So,
wow. So he's doing a dirty, like, kind of obstructive rush. It's not like an all-in, but it's a, I'm going to screw up your whole opening.
Yeah, it's not all in at all. He lost 1 Fiend, that's pretty bad, because then the laser guarantees the second one.
Ah.
So usually you want it to be on his main base.
Because that laser is a top bar ability, right?
Yeah.
So you can normally bait it, pull back, and then go back in when it runs out,
Yeah,
right?
and then you have 1 Fiend, or you just send it to a different base. So he would have sent it to the main base here.
And we've got the meat farm almost finished in the main base. It's going to start spawning fell hogs, which are going to start taking out that Luminite mine. So this is a dirty, dirty rush coming out of Theory to slow him down. He's got his own expansion coming up behind it. He's going to be, you know, continuing to build imps, continue to macro forwards. Those fell hogs, I didn't realize the first ones take so long to spawn, man. I always thought they just came out straight away, but I guess there is a bit of a delay on it. Maybe that got changed from the very early versions of the game when there was a lot of cheese. Dude, is that fell hog not close enough?
He got extremely unlucky. This is not a high chance for this to happen, that the first fell hog doesn't hit. Usually 1 derps out, but ideally you have the first 2 hit the building. So
if he builds this to the right, like directly underneath it, does that not happen? Oh my god. So
it still happens. It can still happen. Yeah.
Wait, and they spawn on a random side, the fell hogs?
Yeah, it can spawn on any side.
You're kidding me. So he's just done like
twice.
That's hilarious. Oh my god, he's so he's gonna be moulding, man. This is great. Probe said he's like he said he's a bit rusty. So Probe's probably gonna be pretty happy. He gets like a slight freebie here, a little bit of calm before the storm. Fellhog will start doing damage. And it looks like we're going up to Force Projector, Arc Station, Mainframe, like all the tech's coming down for Probe on a very low base count. And I guess he's just going to wait to the last second and then lift this off. Or do you think he's going to quickly make some army and get up there to try to clear out that meat farm?
You definitely want to clear this. You don't want to lift it. You can let this get very low.
Oh, dude, but look. It
Yeah.
died because the new one pops out, kills the existing one, and now there's 3 stuck on the bottom. Now, don't get me wrong, those ones will die and it could respawn on the top, but that's ridiculously unlucky. That is so funny, man. Anyways, we've got here a scanner on the bottom side as well. So the flying biosynth scout. That's literally just for scouting, right? That doesn't do anything else?
It can capture camps, and it does have an attack if you... So it starts in the air, and if you descend it to the ground, it has quite a weak attack. But usually you just keep it in trees, and it takes camps too. So what people do is they'll send one to each camp and make it very annoying and hard to steal.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's super annoying. So we've got double conclave wall-offs coming now, triple conclave, sorry, iron vault on the top side. So you can see here, I'll zoom out a little bit just so you guys can see everything. Just trying to macro up to 3 base now, and as you said, turtle there. The Kree is going to clean up that meat farm for Probe, but Probe's already been slowed down a lot. Like, how do we weigh up these openings in your estimation? Is one player got an advantage, or is it just even?
It's always hard to say in this matchup because Kree are super volatile, but a key thing in this matchup for Infernals is to get 3 bases. If you get 3 bases up, you're in a very good spot. So I would say Theory's winning, and this map is particularly good for Infernal because it has 3 gases on 3 bases. Not very many maps have this, so I would say Theory's winning so far.
Awesome. Well, we are now seeing some towers, some Kree moving out. They'll see if they can come in. Obviously, we've got a couple of Gaunts starting to enter the field. And here we go, those Kree, if they can get rid of the Hexen straight away, but good reaction time. You can pull back the Shroud Stones there as well. Hexen's going to go down, I think, but Shroud Stones are going to kill these Kree pretty quickly, man. Ooh, good detonation on the Imps as well. He's actually microing those pretty well, but I think also Theory overall dodged well enough. Feels like he's only losing like a couple of Imps here. Seems like a decent enough defense. Actually, a few more Imps go down at the tail end of that. Youch.
This actually was a very good defense from Theory. It's very important. He can defend this without taking much damage, but he does not want to spend any Animus. You want to get Dragon as fast as possible. So he's really trying to defend this with the least amount of Animus possible. He could spawn Shroudstone or summon a bunch of Brutes, but it's a race to the Dragon.
Oh, so you can summon Brutes now with top power as well?
So there's Hellspawn Resurgence.
Oh, right, the extra charges on the production.
Yeah,
okay. Sorry, I was like, man, how did I miss that one? I'm like, there's a top bar. You can just like make 3 Brutes magically appear just using top bar. But no, it's just, okay, you still need to pay for them. All right, that's cool. So what's the next step here? Is it just going to be Kree, or is Probe going to tech on up towards Animancers? I keep saying the name. It's Animancer, right?
Yeah, Animancer. So you definitely want Animancer. I think before Animancer, you kind of want to get a good ball of Kree. You want to take every camp on the map, and then you want Argent, Kree, Animancer.
And the Argents are your main anti-air, right?
Yeah. Anti-air, and they're just DPS. Kree alone are not good enough DPS. They're just a good... Argents are a good complement to the army composition. They can sit behind the Kree, pick off buildings. And as you can see, Theory has been practicing these walls. I think he's a Terran player. Actually, he's a Protoss player, which is even better.
And we see Probe stealing creeps with the top bar ability as well. Picking up those deer and just going boom, one-shotting them. This is interesting, man. So both players are just macroing up really hard. So the Flayed Dragon, for those who don't know, is kind of like a hero-esque unit. You can have more than one of them, but it costs an insane amount of Animus. But big attack here for Probe, committing on top. The Gaunts are pretty vulnerable, but it's actually the Brutes that go down very quickly. And just going to go in and get on out of there. Now, I know Infest got massively kind of nerfed and removed and stuff. How does Infest work these days? Does Gaunt still have like an activatable Infest at all, or what's the play on that?
So the actual debuff Infest is the exact same. It does percent damage per second. I think it's like 1 or 2% per second, and it spawns a Fiend when the unit dies. So Gaunts no longer have Infest. The only early game Infest you can have as Infernal is the Hexen. So the Skull will infest 1 unit. You can upgrade it to lay mines. He's actually laying mines at his 4th base. You can see here. So those are kind of like, sort of like Widow mines. You'll see them explode a lot this game. So we'll be able to see that. And that infests all units hit by the mine.
So, and it's like a little AoE. So if a bunch of units
Yeah.
run over in a clump, it could hit like 7 or 8 units at once.
Yeah, if you clump hard, it could hit 20 Kree. If you're really balled up.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really powerful. If you land it.
If it lands, of course. You can always send one Kree ahead and try and blow up mines. It's kind of the same for Vanguard. You send one Lancer forward and try and blow up all the mines. It is a little difficult. Like, as you see, Theory's kind of setting his army on top. So he might not get that off. And by the way, when Kree die, they don't set off the mines. So in their invulnerable state.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Because otherwise you could just run one ahead, right?
Yeah.
On its invulnerable state, set off a whole bunch of venom traps. Okay, fair enough. Now, yeah, I like this venom trap spam. Like, I mean, this is really, Theory is clearly... This is so funny because, like, it's just... I'm so clearly watching top players who found out, like, the abusive thing to do in the game. With, like, the turtling and the, like, traps going down and the wall-offs and the shroud stones and, like, meat farm layers. Like, Infernal is this, like, very... interesting faction because the way all its mechanics work, like there have been different periods, right, where there's just been mass shrouds and like lots of wall-offs and defensive abilities. Oh my god, the venom traps do land, but the gaunts are getting jumped on, dude. Oh man, those gaunts are getting popped.
I think this was okay for Theory. Trading Gaunts for Kree is very good. Gaunts are very cheap in this patch.
Yeah.
50 Luminite, 5 Therium. You can spam them endlessly. So trading Kree for Gaunts is usually a good trade, depends how it goes, obviously. But he also got all the Hexens out.
He probably should have ran away when he hit those venom traps, right? Like, and just gone back and healed up.
Yeah, Kree are hard. They're kind of like Zealots. Like, once you're committed, you're kind of committed. Because you don't want to get nothing for Kree. I think if he just clicked on Theory's 5th base, he totally would have killed it. So I think that would have been the play for him. Even though, I think he should have every camp on the map and take every base that's rightfully his and maybe 1 or 2 of Theory's. And then from there, you can really play the Animancer heavy style. One thing that does become very annoying is at Probes, I think this is his 4th base, he has one of those red turrets firing. Those things are very obnoxious. They're super hard to kill.
Yeah, that's actually beastly, the warp node, right? What the heck?
It makes it very hard for Infernal to counterattack, so Theory, like, I wouldn't do any drops this game. Every one of Probe's bases is covered in turrets. So it's really a game of how many bases can Theory get, and how many dragons can he get this game. He's actually halfway to 1, which is a really good start. I think Theory's in a real favorable position here.
So it's 300 for a Flayed Dragon?
300 Animus, 500 Luminite, 500 Therium.
Oof, okie doke. Well, the Hellborn's going to slowly start clearing out these link nodes and these spark nodes and whatnot. Link nodes, spark nodes, warp nodes, all the different nodes are going to be getting picked away from the high ground. Scythes, are they going to be good enough to deal with the Flayed Dragon, or do you need a ton of them? Like, how does that go?
Scythes, they can deal with the dragon, but they are really bad in response. So even if they can get on top of the dragon, they will just melt way too quickly. I think the best play you can do is you try and Animancer storm the dragon and run at it with Argents.
It's interesting, man. I love the way there's like Hexens at the different wall-offs as well. Like, Theory seems very well defended methodically. You've got like Shroudstone, Meat Farm, everything. A couple of imps blow themselves up to take out some Kree. Big fight on the front. Oh, I wasn't expecting Probe to attack there. Massive black holes. He gets a few big black holes, but you don't want to lose the Animancers in response. He loses the base on the low ground. Feels like Probe's getting a little bit overrun here. Theory just seems to have so much more stuff than him.
Yeah, Theory's economy is absolutely insane for this matchup. And at this point, it might even be worth to just start tossing units. Toss your bad units you don't want. Get rid of the brutes. Get rid of the... That's really it. That's their only bad unit. Get rid of the brutes until you get dragon. Yeah, he's a decent Luminite bank. I would just spam brutes. Spam fiend run bys.
Yeah, just swarm it, right?
Yeah.
Far
Just
enough
get
ahead
the
at this
dragon
point.
out.
And once enough stuff dies, you're getting so close to the Flayed Dragon as well. So That could be huge. So, ooh, okay, so those fiends are getting cleaned up by the warp nodes, but they're just fiends. Not the most important unit on that right side, though. These venom traps catching the animancers, man, you can't be losing these animancers. I think these animancers going down might be GG. The weavers are going to grab them, pull them into death, and that is probably going to be probe GGing very soon, I think.
This is a very dire, and here's the dragon, very dire position for probe.
Blade Dragon enters the fray, and obviously
Celestial's defense is very good, but I don't think this good.
Brute on the left side. We've got these little Spriggans coming in randomly as well. I mean, this is just an overwhelming force. Probe has to tap out there. He did say he's a little rusty with Celestials, but I think he did pretty well with his first game back in it. Theory, though, really nice obstruction. Even with the bad RNG on the meat farm spawn, still managed to just expand on up, set up venom traps, and defend all the different harassment from the Kree really effectively. Well played by Theory.